Welcome to Finding Truth. Hopefully everything's going great out there in YouTube land today. Doing a quick video today on the Rokinon 12mm f2 NCS CS-X lens. That's a mouthful. So what this is the fastest 12mm lens available on the market for an APS-C sensor camera. By fastest, I mean it has the highest aperture at a 0.2. The aperture is the reading of the opening that allows light into the lens. A 1 would be the same amount of opening as the length of the lens. It would be a 1-to-1. So a 0.2 is 1/2 the opening of the length of the lens for the amount of light that comes in. Most of you already know this, just kind of for beginners to understand that. But moving on to the lens itself, this is a great little lens. Performance to price, very, very hard to beat from my testing. So I'm shooting on it right now, and just to give you an idea, my setup looks fairly similar to how it normally looks, except for the fact that you have a lot more background here. You can see a couple of my custom guitars that I built on the wall behind me. That just gives you the idea of how much width you can get in a 12mm lens. You lose some of the bokeh that you might get otherwise. Now I've got this set around f4.8, f5, somewhere in that range. Now it's not going to be perfectly in focus because it's focused on me, and I am 3 to 4 feet in front of those things. But it spreads out your background. Instead of having this tight, narrow background that you get when you're using a telephoto lens, you get a nice wide background. So kind of it gives you a choice of how you want to frame things. Now to give you another idea, normally in my videos I'm sitting about 4 feet away from the camera, and I'm framed very similar to how I'm framed here right now. And right now I am 1 1/2 this distance from the lens. So I'm literally maybe 12.5, 13 inches from the lens, which makes me 1.5 feet from the actual sensor. So I'm very, very, very close. The fact that you can see me from the chest up is quite impressive for how close I am. It feels like you should only be able to see about this much of my face. But that's what a wide angle does for you, so it's phenomenal. Now these are mirrorless dedicated lenses. They're only made for a mirrorless camera, and that's because of the depth of how far the lens sits into the camera, and then the distance from the rear element to the chip needs to be correct for the image to be the right size. Like I said, it's the fastest 12mm on the market. It's the fastest one that's ever been made that I'm aware of. And being super wide, it gives you a field of view of 99 degrees, which is pretty wild and crazy. I mean, most people know what a 90-degree angle is, so you're adding a little bit more to a 90-degree angle. If you put your arms out there and feel how wide that is, it's very, very wide. The build materials are almost all metal. There is some high-grade plastics that are used as well, but it is a very solid lens. It's built well. It feels very, very good in the hands. It's got a solid metal mount. It's not brass, but it is metal. It has no side-to-side play in the mount. It does have a slight amount of rotational play. Now, rotational play won't affect your image quality. When you feel it, it feels a little weird. It's a little more than I'm used to with any other lens that I've used, but this is a budget lens. I would rather have the budget be in a little bit of rotational play than in lesser quality optics, and the optics on this are so far phenomenal. Very, very happy with it. It's got 12 elements in its design, that's a lot of glass inside that little teeny body. So it does have some weight to it. It doesn't feel heavy, it feels solid. That's the way that I would describe it. The aperture goes from f2 all the way to f22. Peak sharpness comes in at f5.6, and it goes all the way to about f11, where afterwards you start losing focus, sharpness, to what's called diffraction. So if you have curiosities about that, we can talk about diffraction in the future, but It's just important to know that with digital cameras, once you get above f11, you're normally dealing with some diffraction, which downgrades the quality of the image that you're getting. Most people can't see it, but it does downgrade it. So now the aperture stops, we've got stops from 2 to 22. It only has half stops in between, and it's not smooth. It does have clicks, so it might not be perfect for you if you're going to be using it for video in which you need to be changing f-stops during your video. Like me shooting it in here with lighting and the manual focus, I don't need to be changing f-stops. I'm not moving around, so it doesn't affect the way that I'm shooting, but it could affect the way that you're shooting, and you'll have to be the judge of that. The focus ring on this is nice and smooth and buttery and tight. It is tighter than most focus rings that I'm used to. I'm not quite sure how to describe it. It's not gritty. It is very, very smooth. I want to say buttery, but it's not that like a buttery smooth feel or Zeiss buttery smooth feel that you get on those focus rings. And being a manual focus only lens, sometimes that super buttery feel is what makes it super special. This doesn't have that. So it is not overly amazing to focus with, but it does focus very nicely, feels good in the hands, feels solid, very enjoyable. Now it doesn't have a lot of depth of field because the furthest focus distance that it's capable of before going into what would be your infinity range is 3 feet. Now that does make it very nice for if you want to use it as a street shooting camera. You just find your infinity point and walk around and just pull the trigger. You don't have to focus at all. Just make sure everything you want in focus is at least 3 feet or further away from you, and you'll be in great shape. So that is something to think about. Now it does have a 67mm thread mount, which is pretty big, which means if you want to put filters on it, they're going to be kind of expensive. But you can put filters on it. A lot of these super wide angle lenses, the element on the front is so bulbous that you can't actually get a filter on top of it without the filter, well, without damaging the lens. So it's nice that you can use filters on this one, but they are going to be more expensive. And you also got to keep in mind that this thing does vignette without filters. I imagine with filters it would be even worse, but it gives you almost 2 full stops of vignette. You can probably see it up in the corners of the video. There's probably darker here and it's probably darker right here. That's the vignetting. It can be fixed in post-production pretty easily, but if you're shooting really dark scenes, you might lose all of your information there and not be able to pull it out in post-production. So that is something to think about. It does have a specific look to it, almost a vintage camera look. Although it's so sharp, it doesn't have a vintage feel. It's kind of an odd combination of this ultra sharp with the vignetting in the corners. It's almost a combination of modern and old. Something about it I really like. There's something about the quality of the pictures I really like. I haven't been fixing the vignetting because I actually enjoy it so far. The image quality, even wide open on this lens, I'd say 9 out of 10. Now, it's not one of the best lenses ever made on the planet, but boy, oh boy, does it give sharp images, and it's easy to use. And that 9 is probably a little higher than it should be because the price point is so low. So let's actually talk about that for a second. The price point on this lens for a super wide angle is around $399. You can get it as low as $350. Sometimes I've seen it even as low as $300. It just depends on when you get the sale. And those are new lenses. So I did a little bit of bargain shopping, as I always do, because my channel is kind of based on that. So I did the old Craigslist thing, and I found somebody who was selling one of these used, and I picked it up. No boxes, but the lens itself, the rear cap, the front cap, and the sunshade for $180. I figured I can't beat that price. It's almost a no-brainer to buy it to see if it's any good, which is exactly what I did. And I've been shooting it. It's got some competition out there. Its closest competition would be the Zeiss To It. they make a 12mm 2.8, so it's one full stop slower than this lens, but it's twice as much money as well. So you're getting a slower lens, paying more money for it, and sharpness from the image examples that I've seen, it's not any better. It might be slightly better out on the edges, but for the way that I shoot, that doesn't make any difference for me at all. Now it might, once I start doing a bunch of landscape this summer, it might start making a difference, but at this point I'm not seeing a difference. It doesn't bother me one way or the other, so I'm very, very happy with my choice to go with this over the Zeiss. Now Zeiss gets rave reviews all the time. People love Zeiss. It has fanboys that will never shoot with anything but Zeiss if they can get it in the focal length that they're looking for. So knowing that and knowing how well this compares to the Zeiss makes it that much better of a deal in my opinion, but you'll have to do your own research and see what you think, because like I said, it's faster, it's half the price. Now it is manual. The Zeiss is an automatic lens. I'm not sure if they make an automatic lens that actually functions with the Fujifilm. I kind of doubt that, so I don't think you're losing anything by going to the Rokinon instead of the Zeiss. I think both of them would be manual on a Fujifilm camera. And like I said earlier, that sharpness peaks out, 5.6 to f11. So if you want the sharpest possible image, you want to stay in that range. But center sharpness never goes away. You can be wide open and you are going to be sharp as a tack at the center of this lens. It is really, really quite impressive. So, that's it for my introduction to this lens. I'm going to be doing some shooting with it, give you guys some sample images so that you can see just how wide it is, figure out if it's something that you want to use. So far I've been very pleased with it. I've only shot with it twice, but really happy with what I'm seeing, and I'm excited about the possibilities that it brings. This is the lens that I reviewed in my previous video. I used it to shoot the video, so I couldn't actually show it to you. Just wanted to show it to you now. This is the 35 f2, and this is a solid little lens. This might be my favorite lens of all time. Although this Rokinon's got me excited about some really wide angle stuff. I've not done a whole lot of that in my photographic history just because wide angles have always been so darn expensive. The Rokinon's got me so excited to be able to shoot those ultra wide images without spending the ultra big bucks. So hopefully it works out for you too, and if you guys end up picking one of these up or you already own one, go ahead and comment down below. Let me know your opinion. Let the other viewers know your opinion. Give us a better example of what people think in general of these lenses, not just my opinion. If there's anything I said that you disagreed with, feel free to make a comment down below. I will reply. If you like the videos, please comment. Please click that like button. That helps me out just about more than anything. If you want to help me out the most possible, you can subscribe as well. Those things do make a huge difference to the ability to grow the channel. Now, if you feel like you want to donate and you want to help support the channel, I do appreciate it. It's not required. I'm not asking you to do it, but it is much appreciated. I will, down below, link a Bitcoin, an Ethereum, and a Litecoin wallet. So if you feel like you want to throw a couple of bucks my way just to say thanks for the work that I'm doing, or help support the channel, or help buy the next product that I review, please feel free to do that. I would much appreciate it. That's about it for Finding Truth today. I'm going to put up a 1-month review of the X-T1 in 2019 here shortly. Give you guys an update of where I'm at with the camera, what I'm thinking, how I feel about it, any issues that I've come across in the first month of using it in 2019. Just kind of a rundown of where we're at with the testing, what tests have been done so far, that type of stuff. So that should be fun. Keep your eyes open. Like I said, make sure that you subscribe to the channel. If you want to know when I put new videos up, make sure that you hit that notification button, and you should get the notifications. Well, have a great day, everybody. Thanks for checking out the channel. Keep on finding truth.